Thanks for tuning in to the webinar. What you're going to see in the next 45 minutes or so has the potential to change your life. And you're going to basically see what I've been doing for the last 42 years. Since I was 19 years old, I've been buying and selling real estate, just like this piece I just bought that we're standing in right now. I would like you to just listen intently and take away with everything that happens here. I'm not a fluff guy. I don't talk about anything that isn't important. So what you're going to see is just everything that I think is vital for you to see. You're going to see my credibility. You're going to see my history of buying all kinds of different types of properties, apartments, commercial properties, houses, land, large acreage, office buildings. These are the kinds of assets that make money while I'm standing here talking to you and give me the options to do the kind of things that I'm doing right now, which is now mentor, because that's this phase of my life. So watch intently. Any questions you have, I want you to write your questions down. It's vital that you have all your questions answered, but I think you're probably going to get all your questions answered within the presentation anyways. But if there happens to be a question or two that is not completely fully answered, then I want you to save that question and I'll answer that directly with you.
You're going to have to see this because you're not going to believe it. You see the cabin in the background? So we just did a handshake deal on his property.
Tom's class is approachable for literally everyone. I'm an immigrant, broken English. Everyone can do it.
Once I realized that Tom was the real deal, I went ahead and I bought the course. I made over $1 million in real estate in 1 year.
After taking involved in his mentorship, I've been able to make in excess of $1 million in equity on a commercial building that I bought.
I recommend Tom's course, the mentorship program. I myself have made over $600,000 in a period of just a couple of months.
One of the things that Tom really does give you is his contact number. So being able to reach Tom when you're in a crunch is very vital.
So look, it's undeniable that it can be done. Look at all my students making anywhere from hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars now. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, sign up for the mentorship. You'll fill out a little survey. We'll have a conversation and we'll see if this is right for you. Hey, Tom here, Flip Anything USA. Whether you want to be a builder, developer, professional real estate investor, at the core, you got to buy property right. I've been doing this 43 years. It takes time to get those skills. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, get my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, apply for mentorship, and maybe you'll get in. Hit that subscribe button. You don't want to lose this channel. There's nothing like it to get rich, but you got to have a good mentor. If you follow some fake guru, you're going to be set behind decades. Thanks for watching. You should be buying what's kind of the median level, the average value home or lower, the lowest cost home that's in a decent neighborhood, whatever that average value is, because everybody can afford that. And that'll come back the quickest when things do get better. But you get hurt having the most affordable house in town. If it's in a crime area, then forget it. I'm saying, pushing crime aside, a decent house in a decent area, you got to buy it right. If I were you, I would take your least desirable properties that you want to get rid of. Figure out what they're worth. Find the asset you want to buy. Let's just say you have 6 properties worth 100 grand. And you go, okay, I got 600 grand sitting here. What you do is go find the property you want to buy, borrow or whatever you got to get the 600 grand, get that, purchase it, put that asset in an accommodator. You do 1031, reverse 1031. Have the accommodator, you buy this building that you want a keeper, and he's got it in his name or she, and now you put your properties up for sale and you sell those 6 properties. And as they sell, the money goes to this guy and he hands it back to you. I like people, and I don't want my legacy to be one of exploiting people's like this and taking advantage of those situations. But real quick here, this is a gentleman, he's a pastor and a veteran, made a bunch of 6-figure flips before that. Josh here, family man, almost a millionaire, flipping land now. This gentleman just sold his 3rd property. He's made $225,000 in the short time, less than a year that he's been with me. Another great family guy here, quit his job at the church to become a full-time investor. He's made getting close to $1 million now. Another young guy, 34 years old, and made over $1.3 million in about 18 months. Another gentleman, he's made $1.2 million or $1.4 million since he's been in my class. If you're even moderately interested in real estate, get my book, read my book, watch my channel. You'll get real honest to God, truthful experience. I'm not a flim-flam man. I'm not out here to take advantage of people or defraud people. This is quartzite. And you can see you got a little shelf here. These were the Pepto-Bismol cabinets, so I'll put a before picture in here. But they look like Pepto-Bismol, pink, and then the countertops were like a pea soup puke green, pretty terrible. And so now, you know, you have to see the difference. Man, I'm really happy. These really came out nice. Anyways, we retextured the ceiling and all the walls. A new floor. This is not a high dollar floor, but it looks great. And what I did is I'm gonna rent this house and then I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna keep it at least a year. That's the plan. I don't normally usually do that, but I feel really good about doing it right now. And maybe buy 3 or 4 more, just like this one. I'm gonna time out the leases so that when I terminate the leases, I'll buy something and then I'll roll the profits from these 4 or 5 houses into probably a commercial building, office building, or something like that. And urge you to do the same. If you find something you want that's a great deal, then you got some options. You can either borrow against it and buy that other property, or you can sell it to the neighbor. If you find a neighbor that can afford it, buy it, sell it, and roll it into that. Like I just sold the property. I paid $240,000 for this property, and I stole it, and I held it for about 10 years. I made $60,000 to $90,000 a year while I held it. But I had a neighbor that wanted it, and I said, look, I'll sell it to you when I find something I want to buy. And so in that situation, what I did is I just kept them. I said, no, it's yours. And I said, I'll sell it to you for $1,725,000. And they're having a little heartburn over it. I know they wanted their pharmaceutical company. They already bought 2 other buildings. They needed it. They wanted it. Then I found a deal. I found a property worth $4 million that I could buy for 2.8. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so I sold that property for $1,725,000. So I made $1.5 million on it. I like people, and I don't want my legacy to be one of exploiting people's like this and taking advantage of those situations. But real quick here, you know, this is a gentleman, he's a pastor and a veteran, made a bunch of 6-figure flips. Josh here, family man, almost a millionaire, flipping land now. This gentleman just sold his 3rd property. He's made $225,000 in the short time, less than a year that he's been with me. Another great family guy here, quit his job at the church to become a full-time investor. He's made getting close to $1 million now. Another young guy, 34 years old, and made over $1.3 million in about 18 months. Another gentleman, he's made $1.2 million or $1.4 million since he's been in my class. If you're even moderately interested in real estate, get my book, read my book, watch my channel. You'll get real, honest to God, truthful experience. I'm not a flim-flam man. I'm not out here to take advantage of people or defraud people. You can see we got the patio done. It's complete. We've got cedar underneath. We'll end up just spraying this clear, and it'll look pretty much just like that, just a hair darker, look like it's wet. We got sheeting inspection tomorrow, which is gonna allow us to side everything. And then the mason's dropping material here Thursday, so we can go ahead and brick the chimney with rock it all the way up through and get that done. And then really down to putting in a header here. We're gonna open this up to the living room. We'll call for the framing inspection. We gotta get mechanical and electrical going. Got my AC men coming out. So we'll get a couple vents popped in here to blow cool into this room. And the bedroom, you can see, is expanded quite a bit, looking pretty nice and clean. That's the closet with this gentleman standing, and the dormer now extends out. Nice big bedroom. So everything's looking really, really good.
I'm actually starting to lose count. Like I have to go back and count all my HUDs and see where I'm at. But
Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So you want to learn how to invest in real estate. Maybe you've never bought a property before. Maybe you own your own home. You put a couple $100,000 away, but you really haven't got enough that you feel comfortable you can retire, put your kids through school. I understand that. Or maybe you're brand new to real estate, young. You know, I started at 19 years old. So look, in this video, you'll see my properties. All these properties you see right here are all ones that I've personally purchased, and there's many, many more. But just these ones you see over my shoulder here represent houses, land, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, office buildings. There's tens of millions of dollars in this shot right here. And these are the kinds of assets that I want my students to also have for themselves. And you take a look in this video. You can scroll ahead, you can jump ahead, whatever you want to do. You're going to see my students, the deals they've made. Some of them have become millionaires while they've been in my class under my mentorship. And you can be a part of it. You can be a part of this story that's going on called Flip Anything USA. If you're sincere and you want it, that's the most important thing. You got to want it. You got to want it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to throw their arm around you and say, here, make some money. It doesn't work that way. But if you have a desire to make money, then all you just need is you need some guidance to make sure you're doing the right thing, or to avoid the pitfalls of doing the wrong thing. I have a saying I tell all my students: easy to do, hard to undo. Very, very hard to undo a big mistake. And purchasing a property could either be the best thing in your life. Watch the success stories, take the webinar, buy my book, and take the mentoring survey. Do any one or all three of those things, you'll be much closer to success than you are right now by not doing it. I can say that you can become a millionaire by taking my class. I can say that with confidence because I have several students now that have become millionaires. Others that have just made hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands. Proof of concept is in. You can make money if you follow my instruction and follow the fundamentals that I teach my students. So look, I have a webinar every Thursday night. Tonight I'll have it as well. If this isn't a Thursday, I'm going to have one the coming Thursday. But the main thing is fill out the application for the webinar, fill out the mentorship survey, and order the book. Enjoy the video, and be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button.
Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. Very excited. My book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, it's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. But even better, it's been so successful so quickly that I have a number of millionaires and new students that have made hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, and that's right, multi-millionaires. All on the back here. Take a look at Liam here. He made over $560,000.
When you know value, and then you listen to a man like Tom, he gives you confidence. You could do this.
Ron, over $3 million.
As soon as I hit your channel, I knew right away, and I was like, yep, this is the guy. And so I started watching it. I bought your book, and I just started buying. And then you made the mentorship available, and I was like, hey, I've learned so much from the book, I've got to be able to learn more from this. I actually, right now, I own 21.
Tina, $70,000 with just a couple of transactions.
Followed the steps. It was a contract assignment. It was a lot in a subdivision. I just made, it was literally the fastest $10,000 I've ever made.
What a success story we have here with Jerry. It's just fantastic. That building you see behind him, this represents what is probably a $2 million profit. It's a property he will keep for a lifetime and hand down to his kids. This is a really, really great story, and I urge you to stay tuned because this is a really, really important one for a lot of you out there.
Having the mentorship has been so valuable because when you do find a deal, you have such a network of guys who's in the mentorship, and you could just throw that deal out there and absolutely everybody can dissect it and just give you insight. And on top of that, having access to Tom, and which has been extremely valuable to walk me through not only residential deals, but also this commercial deal back here. The mentorship has been so valuable. So building the building blocks on top of the book, reading the book, and then getting that mentorship has just been absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I found that property through your teachings, especially from your book. That property I got for $260,000, and after doing all the numbers, that property could have sold for $450,000. I wanted to do the rehab on the property since that was one of my goals. I wanted to learn the process from A to Z. I'm on my property today. I'm gonna turn on the camera so you guys can see. And that property just gave me everything. I learned everything. Well, I'm not gonna say everything, but I learned a lot from that one property.
Everybody in the class is familiar with Chris. One of my earliest students, the very first course I started, and Chris has just been a knockout performer. Really success stories. 5th or 7th deal or something like that now?
This is probably, it's funny because when we talk now and you ask me that question, I'm actually starting to lose count. Like I have to go back and count all my HUDs and see where I'm at. But this is probably 7 or 8 between raw land, mobile homes, houses, doing a little bit of everything, whatever makes sense, right? Whatever the best deal is.
Yeah, and they keep getting better and bigger profits.
But you've been an incredible inspiration. The mentorship has been phenomenal. Under your mentoring and watching you and learning from you, and then me dipping my toe in the water and then kind of putting a whole foot in the water, and I said, I'm going to dive in, and I quit my job and I went all in, and now I'm doing this kind of stuff, and I love it.
And so, but anyhow, this is his latest deal.
Yeah, and I've been working on this for probably 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and I'm done.
Yeah,
so
no, it's cool, and I know this neighborhood really well. See, it's a beautiful
property. What was it, 3-bedroom, 2-bath?
3-bed, 2-bath, probably about 1,700 square feet.
Got in the mentorship, and then how did that affect your decision making on this?
It helped amplify my confidence in the deals, because how many times have we been at the table, you see something that's good, you know it's good, but you psych yourself out. Having actually watched a lot of your YouTube content way before, even probably had your course, to be honest with you, I've actually followed you since, gosh, I think you had a couple thousand subscribers since I actually started watching you, Tom. And that repetition and constant, the mere exposure effect of, okay, I can do this. You gotta look for opportunities where other people don't see them. You know, you have your edge has to be where other people don't see obvious value, you do. So having watched your videos, it started to open my mind to, wow, there's a lot of houses and there's a lot of property classes out there, you know, grade C and even grade D neighborhoods. There's deals, and that's what this is. You know, this is my first deal in like a grade D neighborhood. I never thought about doing it until I've seen some of your content. I'm like, you know, yeah, deal's a deal.
Yeah, right? There's no bad real estate, just bad deals.
I mean, it's changed my life, reading the book, enjoying the mentorship, and having proximity to you.
Just a ballpark, you know, how much money do you think you've made now since you've been in the mentorship, just on land and profit and equity? An idea.
Straight up from real estate, everything cash and notes, and close to $1 million.
Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. Very excited. My book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, it's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. But even better, it's been so successful so quickly that I have a number of millionaires and new students that have made hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, and that's right, multi-millionaires, all on the back here. Take a look at Liam here. He made over $560,000.
When you know value, and then you listen to a man like Tom, he gives you confidence. You could do this.
Ron, over $3 million.
As soon as I hit your channel, I knew right away, and I was like, yep, this is the guy. And so I started watching it. I bought your book, and I just started buying. And then you made the mentorship available. And I was like, hey, you know, I've learned so much from the book. I've got to be able to learn more from this. I actually, right now, I own 21.
Tina, $70,000 with just a couple of transactions.
Followed the steps. It was a contract assignment. It was a lot in a subdivision. It was literally the fastest $10,000 I've ever made.
Kai, over $200,000.
So I was really looking for somebody I could relate to. And of course, they never show the actual properties that they own. So somebody that actually goes around to the properties, shows them what they actually own, show them talking to the contractors, you know, stuff like that. And I saw that in abundance on your page. So I was like, let me check you out. So I started watching a bunch of your videos, and I liked what I saw.
Rich, $1.3 million, over $1 million cash just on land alone.
I would say I definitely recommend it, especially starting with the book, just to get the foundation. And but you'll really get a leg up. One of the things that Tom really does give you is his contact numbers. So being able to reach out to Tom when you're in a crunch is very vital.
Hub, $100,000, one deal.
That property I got for $260,000, and after doing all the numbers, that property could have sold for $450,000.
Garrett, over $110,000 now. Started with his first $25,000 he made on a trailer.
I can't say enough how valuable it is just to have access to you and your knowledge of just single family homes, commercial. Like you said, you're a millionaire. You've made millions in several different areas of real estate. Just being able to tap into that is very valuable.
Chris quit his job at the church and is now a full-time real estate investor. He's made over $180,000 this year.
I've learned so much from Tom, his book, his mentoring really ignited a passion in me to pursue this full-time, and that's what I'm doing now.
Jerry just made $1.5 million, one deal.
Your book was so informative, just broke everything down so good. And I go back and gander at it from time to time. I keep it on my phone.
Shane, a new student, already $120,000.
Yeah, that's your second deal in a very short time. What are you going to make on the second one?
100.
Congratulations. I got to interview you as soon as this thing closes.
What do they all have in common? They all got the book. Since I published this book, my students have made over $10 million collectively. You can be the next one.
first 3 were assignments, and then the next 2 were the ones that we were really able to kind of put our own money in, and it was really exciting. And you know, just seeing how it can grow from just little stages. Like, you have to do a really good job with those little steps in the beginning, and then now we're just like off to the races. It's great.
I'm close on it now. I'm painting now, and don't have probably never.
This is Shane George. He's a fantastic student. He's already made 3 deals. Shane, welcome to the podcast, and I appreciate you taking time here to share your success with everybody.
Thanks, Tom. I'm more than happy to help any way I can today after all you've done for me.
It's the best thing I ever did.
And you really, you've made me proud. And I'm telling you, just you're an asset to you're so motivational. You've done so well in such a short amount of time.
Hey, it's just cause all the resources I got. Cause I mean, I'm a new guy. I don't feel like I know anything yet, you know? I mean, seriously. I just kept it.
You go to work with what you know. You know is taking action. Some people are paralysis by analysis. And now you've already made over 100 grand between 2 deals, and you've got another one you've already got under contract or you purchased. So you might make another 100,000 on, correct?
Yes, I'm close on it now. I'm painting now, and don't have probably another 3 weeks, and it'll be listed. Should make at least 100.
So Shane, how long have you been in the mentorship now?
I think it's around 8 or 9 months right now.
From the moment you got in the mentorship, did you feel like you made the right decision, or were you concerned?
Oh, wasn't any doubt. It was the best decision I've made. I mean, I'm just so excited about it.
And this $1 million deal, I've never, done this in my life. I was like freaking out, and after reading Tom's book and being involved in his mentorship, I've been able to make a couple $100,000 on a house, another couple $100,000 on another house, and what I estimate is up in excess of $1 million in equity on a commercial building that I bought. So it's very real, and it's very tangible. So highly recommend it.
Okay, you're gonna have to see this because you're not gonna believe it. You see the cabin in the background? Literally looking at the place right now. We just did a handshake deal on his property.
Tom's class is approachable for literally everyone. I'm an immigrant, broken English. I'm a mechanic. Everyone can do it. Everyone.
I made a pretty good amount of money.
Once I realized that Tom was the real deal, I went ahead and I bought the course. I made over $1 million in real estate in 1 year, and I have no cash invested.
I'm on the verge of doing another deal. I'm going to spend 75, and I'm going maybe to 180.
We texted back and forth. We call each other. He gave me some advice. The support is right there. Not somebody else, but he's gonna answer. He's gonna give you the support.
I didn't know anything, so if I can do it in a town of 4,500 people, you can do it anywhere.
I don't like to lose. I don't want you to lose a deal. I take it personally if I'm helping you that it gets away from you. And it hadn't happened yet, by the way.
I had the bank invite me to a board meeting because they're like, how are you finding these deals? We're just very curious how you're putting these deals together, Ron.
4 years worth of salary, Wow. Just in 1 year.
I got to get going because he just signed a contract. I got to go write him a check. Close the deal. Close it.
I can't say enough how valuable it is just to have access to you and your knowledge of just single family homes, commercial. Like you said, you're a millionaire. You've made millions in several different areas of real estate, and just being able to tap into that is very valuable.
Yeah, well, it's rewarding when somebody like you actually, takes the info and runs with it too. The way I met you is you actually sent in a picture of the check you made, and I think you were telling us you bought a trailer. And it was shortly after getting the book.
Well, yeah, I've been doing what they call wholesaling a little bit before being introduced to you. So it wasn't exactly my first deal.
Anyone listening out there, I highly recommend Tom's course, the mentorship program. I myself have made over $600,000 in a period of just a couple of months. Without the mentorship program, I would have never been able to do this transaction. So get into the mentorship program. It'll be the best investment in your life.
So we're going to go in, we're going to take a look at Ken's property. And we were looking at this before we bought it, and I was giving him my 2 cents. And now take a look at this. This is a property, Ken. Ken, how many square feet? What do we got? 4,000.
4,100. 4,100.
So you got 4,100 square feet. He's got this corner, which is nice, already beautiful. But take a look at this. Look what it's next to. He's got an enormous shopping center right next to him, only partially occupied. He had a massage tenant in there, which are awesome tenants for a lot of reasons. They take very little parking, which means there's more parking left for businesses that take more parking. So I love this building right up from the very beginning. And the best part is when he was negotiating it, we negotiated terms, right? We got some great terms on this thing. And we even got owner financing, and we also negotiated a pay down, a discount, so that he got a discount if he paid off the note that he negotiated, if he paid it off early. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face-to-face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years. If you find something you want that's a great deal, then you got some options. You can either borrow against it and buy that other property, or you can sell it to the neighbor. If you find a neighbor that can afford it, buy it, sell it, and roll it into that. Like, I just sold the property. I paid $240,000 for this property, and I stole it, and I held it for about 10 years. I made $60,000 to $90,000 a year while I held it. But I had a neighbor that wanted it, and I said, look, I'll sell it to you when I find something I want to buy. And so in that situation, what I did is I just kept him. I said, no, it's yours. And I said, I'll sell it to you for $1,725,000. And they're having a little heartburn over it. I know they wanted their pharmaceutical company. They already bought 2 other buildings. They needed it. They wanted it. Then I found a deal. I found a property worth $4 million that I could buy for 2.8. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so I sold that property for $1,725,000. So I made $1.5 million on it. If you can buy in bad times and it pencils, you're golden. If you can make something pencil and you're paying 8% interest rate on it and it still makes money and does well and there's a profit, you still got a reasonable profit made, good amount of money on your equity, well, you're fine. And now when times get better, if interest rates go down in the future, you refi that and now you're gonna make that the delta of whatever the interest rate. Take a look in here. We've got some warehouse, we got some assembly area over here, and then we'll go back in here and you got like a tech room. Not heavy on people, not heavy on desks. There's a little administration, copier, server, that sort of thing. Go in here, you've got a little office again, little payroll department. Got a small business that manufactures, that does a certain amount of warehousing, a handful of employees, another little office in here. You've got a little break room for the people that maybe do the assembly and all the different parts that make up a small business. The space that mirrors this space that you see right here, it's similar, but what they do have is a lot of engineering, there's plans and drawings and stuff all over the place. Here we got a photography studio, we got a big engineering firm down this way. I'm not even gonna bother them. And then you got just kind of a plain Jane break room, just a refrigerator. But like I say, you can have office in here and you can do light manufacturing. In a nutshell, kind of makes up the flex space. I bought a property for $1,050,000, and when I bought it, I basically paid cash for it. I had $1,020,000 to put down on $1,050,000 purchase. The day that I bought it, the bank gave me a line of credit for $800,000. So the day I bought it, I closed it, and I owed $20,000 on a line of credit, but I still had $780,000 available to me. So the day one, I bought it, closed it, and had a line of credit available to me for 2 years. For $800,000, because that's the kind of equity I had. And then I used that, I got a couple more really great deals that I financed with $400,000 down or $300,000 down or whatever. When I buy a property now, I mean, if I could just pay interest only on everything that I have, I would pay interest only. I would never pay on the principal. There's no reason to. It feels good. Don't get me wrong, it feels good. But I'll tell you, this is something I see that people do when they're concerned. It's just common sense to feel secure having things paid off anyways. But when times are getting tough, that's not when you pay things off. That's when you hold on to every penny, because if somebody moves out, if things start breaking around you, you want to have money is what's going to get you through it. You can have everything paid for and then have things start breaking down and you don't have any money to fix it. I'm going to show you houses that on average I made about $400,000 on each house, right? Some I made $500,000 on, One I made, I think, $300,000 on. First one you're gonna see this kind of a little mansion. We've got a little McMansions, we call them. But look right here, I bought this house, the house next to it, the house across the street, which has been torn down, and now it's this beautiful property. This property on the corner as well. There's 4. I made over about $1.5 million. I still own one of those, actually. So on those 3, I made about $1.5 million. But I bought 2 more that way. I made $300,000 on one, and I made $400,000 on the other one. Here's another house. I bought this for $200,000. I sold it for $560,000. I own the property next to it, and I own the other property next to it, and I also own this one across the street. Grant Cardone is a very talented salesman. I think he's got a good protocol for business. And I don't mean that he's a good businessman, but he knows, like we say, show up, work your ass off, be an asset in the company. You know, I mean, this is all good common sense stuff. But he extrapolated that to mean that he was a good real estate investor. And his advice is shit on real estate. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I've never seen Grant Cardone do anything spectacular with real estate. And I've seen him give advice that would seem contrary to how he made his money. I know he made a lot of money on a home and threw that into an apartment building. But he's telling people, don't buy your house, don't buy a house. And he's telling people don't buy a house at a time when houses were doubling in like a year or 2. So terrible advice. All these little blue lines you see here, every one of those are pieces of real estate that I have personally purchased, that I've personally negotiated, that I've made tens of millions of dollars on. Collectively, I've got apartment buildings, I've got commercial offices, big office buildings, big warehouses. I have a bunch of houses. Houses are a fine place to start. And this is the kind of experience you need. You need a mentor that buys and sells the kinds of properties and the things that you drive by every day. You can see this stretch of sidewalk here. I'm coming along, it ended right here. That doesn't mean anything to most people, but to me, because the sidewalk picked up again down the road, I realized there's a lot here. There's a vacant lot here. So I looked up the owner from the property appraisal records, contacted him, said, hey, you want to sell this lot? He said, I sure do. We made a deal. I bought it for $40,000. I think I gave him $20,000 down. I immediately rezoned it for multifamily. As soon as I put a for sale sign on it, I wrote multifamily on it. A gentleman called me, said, hey, I'm interested in buying that lot. I told him how big it was. I said, make me an offer. He offered me $110,000. You know what? I'll take it. That was a decent deal. I could have charged maybe $120 for it, but I was happy. I made $60,000 in about 3 months. That was a very good deal. Everybody wants to use AI to panic you into a bad investment. So something I tell all my students, easy to do, hard to undo. You throw in with somebody like Chris without really thinking about it, you might regret it, but it'll be hard to undo. So easy to do, hard to undo. Don't forget that. Get a skill. I was born into construction. AI can't take any of those skills away. You know what I mean? AI can't build a home, frame a house. There's a lot of things AI cannot do. When you have a popcorn ceiling, I mean, the stuff will just scrape off like butter. A little bit of water, it'll scrape off beautifully and clean. And so we have to do it again. They did a shitty job on the tape and float. So we'll scrape this off, but see, it just absorbs the water and it just turns to oatmeal and falls off basically. You never want to paint this stuff if you intend to take it out anyways. So we'll scrape all that stuff out clean. And since we're going to texture the ceiling and we have sheetrock behind the paneling, we may as well go ahead and pull all the paneling. We'll have to set these all back in a 1/4 inch so they're flush with the sheetrock and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Miguel will just pull the trim and just make it all look better. If you have a property you want to get rid of right now, best thing you can do is whatever you determine the market is, and we're on a declining market. Anything you want to get rid of, it's a declining asset, dump it now so you don't get stuck with it, because eventually it will be dropping down to that value. The interest rate has gone up every month for several months, 6-8 months. I think it's gone up 3% now since it started going up here recently. So 3% is a lot, and I don't see much chance that it's going to slow down. I wouldn't doubt if it goes up really another 2.5%. So that's something you would factor in. The home that you have, you probably have a low interest rate anywhere from 2.5% to 5%. It wouldn't really make sense to blow that interest rate and plan on buying something. I mean, if you do the math on it, it probably wouldn't make any sense at all to sell your house to go buy another house at all right now, especially when it's going into a declining market. A year from now, the interest rate is even going to be higher. Always invest. But whenever you buy based on today's market. And so if we're in a declining market, whatever you think you can sell it for now or in a month or 2 or 3, you need to buy it for 35% below that figure. It's that delta between what you can sell it for and what it's worth. I mean, that's where all the money's made. And when you buy things right, you buy things substantially under market, you can continue to invest in a declining market. You just have to buy substantially under market, always. On a flex space, the parking is usually going to be more like industrial, about 2 parking spots per 1,000 square feet. So you have to be careful in as much as you could never rent the space to like a church. When you've got people that manufacture, they have office space, but they have a certain amount of warehouse. The flex space, it can have a pretty good location. Now, you're not going to be able to get the same as retail rents, but you're going to get more than you would for industrial rent. If you have retail and industrial dollar for dollar, you're going to get more for retail space because it's flex space, well located. I get more of that office and engineering type firm, which is desirable because it pays more than industrial. One of the things that makes you a little more flexible is having a lot of power. So right here, we've got 3-phase electricity here. It's important that you have a lot of power because when you have a tenant, they may have some big requirements for machines and that sort of thing. And if you can't supply the power, you can't run the machines. This is real important too. Always look for 3-phase, very important. Framing the picture. So when it comes to houses, a lot of times all you got to do is clean up a place, right? And now this is a beautiful property. You clean the windows, make it nice. I'd replace these windows, put in a nicer door here. What I want to talk about is framing the picture, and that means taking care of the yard, right? Because that's the perimeter. I got about 5,000 square feet of sod to put in. So I'm putting in Bermuda grass. I was going to try to do this before the winter, but it didn't happen, so we're going to do it now. But it's already got a pretty great sprinkler system here. The property hadn't been taken care of prior to my buying it. Today we're getting rid of all the weeds. That's what's in all these bags, and we're putting in some Bermuda, which I love. Bermuda doesn't require the water that other grasses take, at least in my experience, but it also, when it dies, it turns brown, but it comes back. It always comes back. Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. Take a look at my students. Many of them are multimillionaires in just a short time.
Getting involved in his mentorship, I've been able to make in excess of $1 million in equity on a commercial building that I bought.
I'm about to close on 3 lots, and we'll probably clear about $120,000.
Shane, how you doing on that second deal?
I just had someone write me an earnest check on it today.
What are you going to make on the second one?
100. I recommend Tom's course, the mentorship program. I myself have made over $600,000 in a period of just a couple of months.
One of the things that Tom really does give you is his contact number. So being able to reach Tom when you're in a crunch is very vital.
You can be just like these people. Get into a live webinar, 7 p.m. Thursday nights Central Time. See you there.
Yeah, after reading Tom's book and being involved in his mentorship, I've been able to make a couple $100,000 on a house, another couple $100,000 on another house, and in excess of $1 million in equity on a commercial building that I bought. It's very real. It's very tangible.
I'm about to close on 3 lots, and we'll probably clear about $120,000.
Shane, how you doing on that second deal?
I just had someone write me an earnest check on it today.
Oh, wow. That's your second deal in a very short time. What are you going to make on the second one?
100.
No shit.
Bought it for 80.
I got to interview you.
I recommend Tom's course, the mentorship program. I myself have made over $600,000 in a period of just a couple of months. Without the mentorship program, I would have never been able to do this transaction. So get into the mentorship program. It'll be the best investment in your life.
Get into my free webinar and I'll show you how I did it.
Tom here, I'm at the food park. I'm gonna mix a little concrete in place. I'm gonna pour concrete around these valves for shutting the water off. I'm just gonna reinforce it. Yeah, I like it. Looks good.
They can break the pipe and they pour up.
Here you go. Now a car runs over it, it's not going to damage it. Listen, you want to learn how to make money in real estate? I've been buying and selling for 42 years. I've got many millionaires in my mentorship class. All happened in just a matter of a few years. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. You need somebody that's been making money day in and day out for years, decades. compare my record to anybody else. Thanks for watching. Sub 2 and wholesaling is not even investing. You see this house? I bought it for $225,000 and I'm gonna sell it for over $400,000. I'm teaching my son and the Flip Anything USA community how to make tens of millions the same way I did when I was in my 20s. It's a teachable skill. You can do it too. Look at my mentees in my class, making hundreds of thousands, even millions. Compare and check it out. So listen, don't put it off. Get involved, come see what you're missing. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, take the webinar, get my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. You can talk to me one-on-one, absolutely free. Looking forward to seeing you. Tom here, Flip Anything USA Mentorship. So look, this one, just bought it a month and a half ago, 1,700 square feet. Bought it for $295,000, about 30 grand in it. Expect to sell it for about 420. Come look, that's not a new door, that's a painted door. These columns, sanded and painted. New paint. Look at the yellow, look at the white, brick exterior. It's great. Doors, Home Depot, insulated. Step inside, $2.59 a foot flooring, about $2,200 in cabinets, $3,400 in countertop. Master bedroom, painted the cabinet, recaulked the shower, recut the hole here, made a better closet. Look at this master bedroom, not bad. Paint, texture, that's it. Floor tile, already existed, we're leaving that in place. Backyard, cleared out all the weed, the nasty bushes, old shed, one little window, fix that door, and it's solid. New windows, $2,300 on this house. You wanna make money in real estate, get in my mentorship. I've been doing this for 42 years. Getting the skills that'll take care of you and your family, you can become a millionaire, just like many of my students have. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. Thanks for watching. So look, you can't afford to not invest. You see this industrial building? I own this industrial building. But not only that, guess what? I own this little school next door. And guess what? I used to own the building next door to that. Made a couple $100 grand on that. See the building across the street? There's another 16,000 square feet that I still own. Go across the street, go down a little ways, there's 5 in a row. Restaurant, houses, bar, commercial buildings. I can literally throw a rock and hit something. I could probably hit 6 properties from here, but from any one of those properties, I could throw that rock again and just keep landing on other properties that I own. The deals are around you. Don't let anybody fool you. The deals are right at home. Don't be investing in Texas when you live in California and investing in California when you live in Texas. The money is in your own state. FlipAnythingUSA.com. See the testimonials, see the mentees that have really learned personally from me. I'm a real mentor. I actually talk to you. You will learn skills that you're never going to learn from anybody else. FlipAnythingUSA.com. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Hey, you see this ugly old building? Listen, this property makes enough money to buy 15 Ferraris if I sold it, and enough rent that I can buy a new one every year for the rest of my life. Don't be one of the dummies that gets fooled by the fast cars and all the BS. You can make millions of dollars, but you got to use your head. I've been doing it 42 years. Get in my free webinar, Flip Anything USA. It's every Thursday, 7 p.m. And start getting some skills so you can have an ugly old building and a Ferrari in the garage if you want one. Tom here, Flip Anything USA, and I want to talk about hucksters. Hucksters that sell and promote items and products of questionable value. And you know who I'm talking about. People that sell gimmicks and hacks and schemes and things that seem too good to be true. Guess what? What seems too good to be true is too good to be true. I've been buying and selling real estate for 42 years. I've made tens of millions of dollars. I've handled every single deal. Talk about creative financing. I bought my first property when I was 19 years old. No credit. I've done all kinds of creative financing that is of great value to people like you. If you're 30 to 50, 60 years old and you want to start figuring out how to make some money, if you understand that you're not going to be able to retire on even $1 million or put your kids through school, then go to my webinar. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, get into my webinar, take my mentorship survey, and get my book. My book, Wake Up and Smell. Tom here, Flip Anything USA. Look, 3 things you must do when presenting a property for lease. 1, a beautiful, clean, white box. That's what we call this, a white box in real estate terms. 2, lights. Your lights should be beautiful, white, perfect, no bulbs out, nothing dark, no bugs in the lenses. 3, you want to deliver clean windows. Your windows should be sparkling clean so when they look through, they can see everything. There should be no smudges. Everything should just look perfect. Follow those 3 things and you'll be a much, much more successful landlord. You'll get the stuff rented quicker. Hey, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, go to FlipAnythingUSA.com and be sure to subscribe. This room, you can kind of see how small the old room was. Really terrible, that peak. It's just such a nasty roof. It robs so much room. But now with the dormer knocked out, we got a nice closet here. Over here on the side, we've got just a much bigger room. Get a king size bed in here, you know, still fit between the windows nicely. Really, really great. Mechanical just left. We're gonna put in a box plenum back here that this 8-inch pipe will feed. And then we'll have a 7-inch vent here, and we'll run probably 2 8s into the living room over and above. Those will pop out right as low as I can get them on this roof. But that'll be cooling this area down here. There never was a vent in the bathroom, so I got a little 4-inch running off into the bathroom and into the closet, just to keep it cool. So everything's looking really, really good. We added 525 square feet here, but with the present air conditioner is a 3.5 ton, so it's sufficient. Plus, we're going to do an extra great job of insulating the hell out of this thing. He had graffiti there, and he got rid of it so fast. In all honesty, it's best that the tenants never saw it. I had an apartment complex that some kid was tagging, writing gang symbols on the washer and dryers and stuff, and it was making the people worry. And it turned out it was an 8-year-old kid. I found it written on his damn homework in the dumpster. I went dumpster diving. As a landlord, your job is your problems should not extend to your tenant. You don't want your tenant's problems or your problems to become your tenants. And that's what happens when these type of things happen. So yeah, that's fantastic. This here is Scott, my new tenant, and he has got a beautiful facility. So Scott, how long have you been doing this?
This is actually coming up on our 14th year of business. It's been pretty interesting. We were at our old location for 13 years, just moved right up the street.
I actually have regret because I actually met Scott kind of sort of 2 years before this because I was looking at buying that building that he was in previously, and I had it and I let it go, and I should know. Now, a year or two later, he needed space, and I said, here, I see you got kettlebells, got the medicine balls, which is funny enough. Does everybody come here after work, or is there, when do you do the bulk of your business?
Our busiest hours are at like 5 o'clock on. We wrap everything up here around 8:30 at night. We do have people that work out like early morning, but even those classes are a little bit smaller. The workouts are different every day. We run shuttle runs in here, a lot of weightlifting. Some days it'll be a combination of weightlifting, pull-up work, different strength work. Some days it'll be the rowers, some days it'll be the bikes. We keep it always mixed up. It's different every day.
That's neat. I've seen some of the people looking pretty fit coming in and out of here.
Equity comes, equity goes, but the cash will always flow.
That is like the silliest statement I've ever heard. And I've heard some of Pace's students say that. Equity comes, equity goes, but the cash will always flow. That's a ridiculous statement. That's a statement from somebody with very little experience in real estate. Listen, I've been doing this 40 years. I've seen real estate values plummet. I've seen rents plummet. The cash does not always flow. A lot of vacancies. Even in an apartment complex, you'll have, people there, oh, well, I'll always keep this full. No, people start moving out. They move back home when things get tough, when jobs go away. That statement, in fact, let's just play it back one more time.
Equity comes, equity goes, but the cash will always flow.
Where they messed up is paying full price. I paid $360,000 for the 3 houses that I bought that I eventually sold for about $1.8 million that paid for all this, plus put some money in my pocket. Think about that. 3 house purchases, $360,000, $120,000 a piece on average, and held them for a little while. And then those made enough money that when I sold them, bought this, and I went from clearing about $3,000 or $4,000 a month rent on those 3 houses to now I have a net $12,000 a month just in rents. That's all mine. Then there's money over and above that they pay that pays for taxes and insurance. That's what we call for a triple net lease. They break those things out separately. But look, a lot of people out there, you're 30, 40, 50 years old. Listen, 10 years goes by like that. You got to plan it. A good life is by design. You can be very wealthy or you can be comfortable. There's all different levels of wealth, but all of them, in my opinion, 90% of the money that's made out there is made on real estate. This is how you overstuff a trailer. Put the doors and any crap wood. In this case, we got plywood on the sides, and you just kind of load it up with the materials that you're hauling away. See this here? This is important. You put tires in the front, put a rope around it or a chain, and then that way when you get to the dump, you can put that other end onto something heavy, and then when you pull away, you'll drag those tires through and it'll take everything out instead of guys having to throw the shit out one handful at a time. So that's a big tip there, by the way. Everything you saw on that trailer was sitting right here. We're gonna have 2 loads. This is a lot of trash here. So all this will be on a second load. I'm not gonna keep the commodes, or you can see these old crappy looking countertops. That's all gonna go. I may hang on to some of the ducts just to be safe, and even the insulation too. Tom here, so this is property just bought today. Like that. That was a quick tour. I didn't look at this house but 3 or 4 minutes before I decided to buy it. And that's what you'll learn in my mentorship. So go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, get some skills. I don't pretend to know anything more than what I do. I'm a pretty good businessman, but I also know real estate better than anything. That's what I've prevailed at better than anything. So I go out there, and of course, I'm a little bit critical. Anybody's a rock star in good times. And I've seen that happen over the last 40-something years. And then they quickly disappear, or they change gears. And you're seeing, right? You see fake gurus change gears. All of a sudden, they're selling franchises or leads.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that were crypto experts just 2 years ago, right? And then they were NFT experts.
yeah, or real estate, then crypto, now back to real estate.
You have enough kind of years in the business or years in the game, and you've seen all the trends, you've seen the ups and downs. You can predict the cycles and also analyze it in real time.
You know what? It's interesting you say that. Somebody interviewed me recently because I've been investing since 1981. In fact, that's what they call the video. He's been investing since 1981. I got lucky because I learned about real estate so young. So I got a lot of years, and I'm still not that old. But to your point, when somebody knows a subject really well, you can't fool them. It's like somebody going to Vietnam and somebody pretending to have gone to Vietnam. They quickly can go, oh, you're full of shit, you know what I mean? And it could be a dentist, it could be anybody that knows something very, very well. And so for me, I can sniff out inexperience. Maybe they have a very narrow niche that they know, but they extrapolate that to be much bigger. I make my money from real estate. Most of the people out there selling courses and things, they don't make their money primarily from real estate. When you feed on other people, that's what you do the rest of your life. That's where the money is for you. To me, it's just terrible because of the amount of stories I hear of people that have paid somebody $10,000 to $30,000. And these are the well-known people. Some people, they hang it up for 5 years because they just feel like they got absolutely nowhere and they got garbage information and they didn't get mentoring. They got handed off to other students that don't know what they're doing. And that's because the guy that is selling the course can't mentor because he's never been there. He's never done it. I have examples of getting rich slowly, assets that I've held for over 20 years. I've got stuff I've flipped and made hundreds of thousands in a couple weeks. And those are great things, and it's cool. And that's why I always tell people find me, I think it'd be a pretty relevant mentor with real estate because I continue to buy the same kinds of assets that I bought when I was 19 years old, and houses, buildings, and land. And if you can get skilled enough that you can have that diverse of a skill set, it'll really serve you well. The best part about real estate is exactly what you're doing. When you've got enough to get by, if that's where you want to cut it, or if you want to do something else, you have those options. And that's what real estate really gives you more than anything. It gives you the options to do whatever you want to do. I flip houses. I primarily flip houses. There's more of them, so there's more opportunities to buy and sell houses than anything because there's more of them. You know, every time you're driving down the road, you look at a car, it's heading to a garage somewhere. So there's more of them, so there's more opportunities. They're easier to find and flip and make money on. They're also an emotional purchase, so the values go up very high based on emotion, not based on rental income, apartments or whatever. Their value is based on income. That's it. And right now they're getting hurt terribly because I won't buy anything unless I get a 12 cap on it. Because if I don't get a 12 cap, it's just not worth it to me. I'm going to borrow 3/4 of that money. And if I'm going to borrow 3/4 of the money, I got to be getting it substantially under what I'm paying for it. With real estate, it's the only thing that you can borrow money on for 10, 15, 20. They have 50-year loans you can get on real estate because real estate generally always goes up. It may plateau here and there, and we're definitely in a plateau right now, and you will see it decline. But overall, this real estate is just going to keep going up. But right now is not the time to jump in and pay full retail for anything. I never pay retail anyways, but you guys got to be very careful. How long have you been told, oh, don't buy, values are, the real estate's not raising, going up, so you shouldn't buy. And then when real estate goes up real high, people say, oh, don't buy, it's too high. Like, they're gonna adjust it down for you. It's not how it works. Everything you buy should always be bought relative to what things are doing right now. People make a lot of money when things get really good, and guess what? When things get really bad, people make mistakes, people go belly up, they overextend. You know, even like Amazon is overextended. They thought that the way the pandemic was going, they doubled their business, and they acted like it was going to quadruple. So now they're subletting property that they rented and purchased that they thought they were going to be moving into. Didn't happen. So don't ever think just because the big guys do something that it's like that's a green light for you to go do something similar. The big guys just make bigger mistakes. And a lot of times they're playing with other people's money, and that kind of goes to the funds. The guys like Grant Cardone, Chris Cardone, they're buying things with other people's money. So they really don't have much downside if things go down because their cash in it is very light. Their sweat equity is very minimal. It's other people's money. And if that's what you want to do, they're a great example for watching that.
I'm here, FlipAnythingUSA, so I'm at one of my commercial strip centers. This was a bait shop. These tenants decided to close up, and they left a lot of stuff now. Fortunately, this is a retail center, and there's a good chance that whoever comes along is going to be able to utilize these cabinets. This little building rents for twice what you'd be able to rent a 3-bedroom house for. This is like $3,300 a month. You want to make money in real estate, you want to learn from somebody that's been doing it a very long time. I'm doing it 42 years. This girl is 19 years old. I started with industrial commercial property. I didn't live in the 5th house that I bought was the one that I actually lived in. But real estate, there's nothing like it. It's a never-ending inventory. The inventory is always turning, so there's always opportunities to make money. Look, you want to get skills from somebody that really has it, that really has been through these things.
Last night, or this morning I should say, I get a call from one of my tenants saying that there was no power. And I thought, that's weird. I come over here and you hear that hum? You hear that buzz? Okay, this is a transformer. They have power. This thing's buzzing. There's electricity. So I look up, and what do I notice? The arms on these are shut off. If this is down, that's the disconnect for the building. These are disconnect, and all but one was pulled down. These cables were even pulled down. I'm not even sure why they were pulled down. But everything was shut off. So first thing I do, push them up, I turn everything back on, okay? And I'm like, well, some kid probably came by and shut this shit off. But no, that's not what happened. Look up. I noticed that I have a cover missing up here on the top. And then take a look. The screws have been pulled from the top where they begin to try to pry these open. And look over here, this one here. So what you see here is the beginning of a theft. Buy the property yourself and no partners. The problem with putting money into a fund is the bank will never loan you any money against it. And the other thing they don't talk to you about in a fund is, think about the money. If you're gonna go pull, say $50,000 or $100,000 as a second on your home, or you're gonna do an equity withdrawal on like a HELOC out of your home, well, you're gonna pay right now maybe 6% on that money to throw into a fund that might only give you like 4%, 3%. Doesn't really make any sense. So anyways, just got to be very, very careful with this sort of thing. There is a silver lining almost every time. For every time there's a big problem one way or another, it just opens up an opportunity. I can show you, here's an apartment building. I'll put this up. This is an apartment building. This is in the crash of like 88, 87. This property went through what I call a stair-step recession. This property had gone back to the bank, sold again after it went back to the bank for $1.2 million, went back to the bank again, sold for $750,000 as I remember. People who bought it went belly up again, went back to the bank, sold for $550,000, went back to the bank, and that's when I bought it. I bought it for $340,000, and I made almost $2 million on those two properties right there. There's an opportunity with every crash. You can always buy property year-round, doesn't matter. If you're a retail investor, no. If you're a speculator, no, you're screwed. There's no education. The education you get from my book and what you'll get here for free on YouTube in the mentorship, there's nothing else like it. There's just, you can't buy this kind of, it's not out there. It's just not out there. A few of us know about it, but It's not that widespread. It's not an education you're ever going to get out of school. You got to seek this stuff out to make it happen and find out. And hopefully you don't seek out and find some bullshit where somebody takes your seed capital. That's the worst thing that can happen, is lose your seed capital, and it kills your soul. When people, I can tell you, there's people that didn't nearly live up to the expectations that they'd hoped. I get a lot of complaints about that, to be honest, about Chris Crone. And you shouldn't give your money to somebody anyway. I understand you want your money back, but unfortunately nobody's asking for their money back with me anyways. It's important. You just got to do your due diligence before you pay for anything.
And you can see, for whatever reason, they needed to drive vehicles or probably take a forklift down. When you have a ramp like that, we got one right here as well. A lot of times I've had warehouses where you couldn't get a forklift out of the building because it was trapped because of this. So you need the ability to take the forklift out. That way you can unload and load trucks from the side. If you get a delivery where the stuff's coming in from the side of the truck, you can run a forklift down, take it off the side, run it back up. Not everything can be taken off the tail of the truck, so it's good utility with that.
And what creates the going home side of the road is jobs. So as you pull out away here, you can see this highway runs out here, and you can see, look at the density out here, much denser, tons of properties, everything commercial, industrial, lots of residential. That's where the jobs are. And then you go to the other side and you got nothing but hill country, all green grass, not, just a very, very low density. The little subdivision out here, it looks like, doesn't have near the amount of people. So that's a problem. Reverse 1031 is what you could do. Just take the best ones out of the bunch, the most valuable out of the bunch, the easiest to sell out of that bunch. Let's just say you find your dream property. Let's say you're going to retire in the French Quarter. You could buy a commercial or an industrial building for $1.5 million. And so you take the liquid money that you got right now, you buy the asset that you intend to buy with those properties. So what you do is you take your liquid, your million that you got, or $1.5 million or whatever, go pay cash for that asset, put your other properties in a limited partnership or an LLC, the same one. Then what you do is when you pay cash for that other asset, you put it in a 1031. So you pay cash and it's in the name of the accommodator. Now you make a deal to buy that property from the accommodator. Now you can take all those properties that you have in there, you can buy it from him over a period of 6 months.